Machiavelli wrote that being kind to everyone makes people hate you, not resent you, hate you. He watched princes bankrupt their kingdoms through generosity, then face revolutions when they finally said no. The most dangerous lie ever told is that unconditional kindness builds loyalty. It doesn't. It builds contempt. We're raised on a fairy tale. Be kind and the universe rewards you. Treat people well and they will treat you well. Give without condition and love will flow back. It is the foundational myth of modern morality, and it is killing you. Machiavelli understood something most people never learn. Kindness without power is not virtue. It is weakness dressed in moral language. When you cannot say no, your yes means nothing. When you cannot be ruthless, your compassion becomes a cage. This is not cynicism. This is the mathematics of human behavior, proven across 5 centuries of research. Here is the paradox Machiavelli observed in the Renaissance Italy. A prince who ruled with consistent generosity trained his subjects to expect it. Every gift became an entitlement. Every act of mercy became a baseline. Then, when a treasury emptied and he could no longer deliver, his people did not see a human with limits. They saw a traitor who broke an unspoken contract. The tyrant who occasionally showed mercy was celebrated as magnanimous. The kind ruler who occasionally enforced consequences was despised as a betrayer. Machiavelli wrote, "Making an example of 1 or 2 offenders is kinder than being too compassionate and allowing disorders to develop into murder and chaos, which affects the whole community." The mathematics were brutal. Predictable kindness destroyed respect. Watch it happen in modern organizations. The manager who befriends everyone loses authority within months. Employees arrive late. Deadlines become suggestions. Boundaries dissolve. Not because people are cruel, but because humans are wired to test limits. We respect scarcity. We devalue abundance. The boss who is occasionally kind from a position of clear authority earns loyalty. The boss who is unconditionally nice earns contempt disguised as friendship. This violates everything we are taught. Be kind and kindness returns. The data says otherwise. A 2019 study in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that highly agreeable people, those who consistently prioritize others' needs, earn significantly lower salaries and were reviewed as less competent by colleagues. Unconditional kindness signals low status. It invites exploitation because it broadcasts that you will absorb cost without retaliation. But status is only the surface. The neuroscience reveals something darker. Barbara Oakley is a neuroscience researcher who coined a term most people find impossible to accept: pathological altruism. Altruism that causes measurable harm to both the helper and the helped. Not being too nice, a recognized psychological pattern where empathy overrides rational judgment, leading to enablement, burnout, and paradoxically worse outcomes for everyone involved. This is not metaphor, this is neuroscience. Oakley's research consortium at Oxford University Press published findings in 2012 that shattered comfortable assumptions. Healthcare workers who over-empathized with patients developed clinical depression and burnout. Their brains showed structural changes identical to trauma victims. Parents who practiced unconditional love with addicted children prevented recovery by removing consequences. The helper personality needed others to stay broken to maintain their identity as savior. Chronic altruism literally reshaped brain architecture. Think about someone in your life who just wants to help. They insert themselves into every crisis. They cannot tolerate others' discomfort. They sacrifice relentlessly, then feel hurt when their help is not appreciated. Oakley's studies reveal the mechanism. Their empathy circuits have hijacked their prefrontal cortex. They feel virtuous while being destructive. The person drowning cannot save another person drowning, but pathological altruists keep trying because helping others is how they avoid their own darkness. The Jungian interpretation is devastating.
We use compulsive kindness as a defense mechanism against integrating our shadow. If I am always good, always giving, always sacrificing, I never have to face the parts of myself that are selfish, angry, or broken. The addiction is not to helping. The addiction is to the identity. And like any addiction, it requires increasing doses, more people to save, more crises to manage, more proof that I am not the terrible person I fear I might be. Evolution saw this problem coming, and it solved it mathematically. In 1980, political scientist Axelrod ran computer simulations to answer one question: what strategy wins in repeated human interactions? He invited game theorists worldwide to submit programs for the iterated prisoner's dilemma. Each program would face each other hundreds of times, cooperate and both win moderately, betray and you win big while the other loses. The tournament would reveal which approach evolution favored. The results shocked everyone. The always cooperate strategies, the unconditionally kind programs, were eliminated within generations. They were exploited relentlessly by aggressive programs and went extinct. The always betray strategies also failed. They created environments where no one trusted anyone, producing universal poverty. The winner was a 4-line program called tit for tat. Start kind, then mirror exactly what the other person does. Cooperate with cooperators, retaliate immediately against betrayers, then forgive and try cooperation again. Evolution did not select for unconditional altruism. It selected for strategic reciprocity. The mathematics are unforgiving. If you never retaliate, you train others that exploiting you is cost-free. If you always retaliate, you destroy all possibility of cooperation. The optimal strategy is calibrated reciprocity, kindness with memory, forgiveness with boundaries. Axelrod proved that niceness works, but only when backed by the credible threat of consequences. Even our DNA knows unconditional altruism is a genetic dead end. Look at cultural evolution. Societies with honor codes combining radical hospitality toward guests with swift, violent retaliation against betrayers dominated history. The Bedouin, the Scots, the Japanese samurai. Purely pacifist communities were absorbed or exterminated, not because violence is virtuous, but because groups that could not distinguish friends from freeloaders did not survive. Imagine a tribe that forgave every theft, every betrayal, every murder. They would disappear. Their unconditional kindness would be their extinction event. But there is a deeper pattern. The same act of kindness can mean opposite things depending on who performs it. Machiavelli's most overlooked insight is not that kindness is bad, it is that kindness only works from a position of established strength. A CEO who takes a voluntary pay cut to save employee jobs is celebrated as heroic. An entry-level employee who offers to work for free is marked as exploitable. The actions are identical. The social interpretation is opposite. This is the status paradox. It is not what you do, it is who people believe you are when you do it. Medieval lords who occasionally pardoned criminals were praised for mercy and wisdom. Peasants who forgave the same criminals were victimized repeatedly and called fools. High-status individuals can be generous because everyone knows they could also be ruthless. Their kindness reads as magnanimity, strategic grace. Low-status individuals performing identical acts appear desperate, submissive, trying too hard. The kindness does not create the status creates the meaning of the kindness. Watch modern dating dynamics. An attractive, successful person showing interest is confident and charming. An unattractive, struggling person showing identical interest is creepy and trying too hard. Same behaviors, same words, opposite social reality. Psychologists call this the halo effect. We interpret ambiguous actions through the lens of perceived status. If you have status, your kindness amplifies it. If you lack status, your kindness undermines it further. The universe is not fair. It is structural. So the uncomfortable implication is this: if you are not yet perceived as powerful, your kindness may be making things worse. You think you are building social capital. you are actually broadcasting weakness. The Stoics understood this. Marcus Aurelius wrote from a position of absolute power. His meditations on kindness and duty carry weight because he commanded legions. Had a slave written the same words, history would not remember them, not because the wisdom differs, because the status does. So the synthesis is not cynicism, it is something more dangerous. The final uncomfortable truth is this: genuine kindness requires the capacity for ruthlessness. If you cannot say no, your yes is worthless. If you cannot retaliate, your forgiveness is not mercy. It is cowardice wearing a moral costume. The truly kind person has the full range of human responses available and chooses compassion from wisdom, not from fear of conflict. Machiavelli was not advocating cruelty. He was advocating strategic competence. Be kind
when it serves. Be ruthless when necessary. Never be either reflexively. His actual advice to princes was precise. Be generous occasionally and make it memorable. Be harsh rarely, but swiftly and completely. Then move immediately back to normalcy. People remember the first and last impressions. They habituate to everything in between. Modern negotiation research confirms this. Tough but fair negotiators achieve better long-term relationships than always accommodating ones. The paradox resolves. Boundaries create the container within which kindness becomes meaningful. Without walls, there is no garden. The Buddhist middle path says compassion requires prajna, wisdom. Wisdom sometimes requires a sharp no, a clear boundary, even apparent harshness. The Dalai Lama was asked what you should do if a soldier tries to shoot you. He said, "Shoot back." The journalist was shocked. His Holiness explained, "You stop him from creating terrible karma by murdering you. Your kindness to him is preventing his action through force." This is sophisticated compassion. It operates beyond naive moral performance. Nietzsche called this moving beyond good and evil, not because you become immoral, because you are no longer enslaved by rigid moral performances designed to prove your virtue to others. The truly powerful person does not need to broadcast their goodness. They do not need constant validation. They can be kind, cruel, generous, withholding, whatever the moment demands. They are free. And freedom, Nietzsche knew, is what morality was designed to prevent. Most people are not good. They are merely afraid. If this is landing differently than you expected, you are not alone. Subscribe for the ideas that change how you see everything. Machiavelli watched princes destroy themselves through unconditional kindness. He watched cities fall because leaders could not make hard choices. He was not cruel. He was a realist who understood that kindness without power is not virtue. It is a slow form of suicide. The question he forces us to confront is not whether to be kind. It is whether we have earned the right to be kind, whether our compassion comes from strength or from terror of being disliked. The universe does not reward virtue. It rewards calibrated reciprocity. Start kind, mirror what comes back, retaliate when necessary, forgive when strategic. This is not cynicism. This is the mathematics that built every successful relationship, organization, and civilization in history. Machiavelli's gift was not cruelty. It was honesty about what works. And what works is kindness deployed from wisdom, not from weakness. The most dangerous thing you can do is confuse the two. So ask yourself this: when you are kind, are you choosing it or is it choosing you?